How's everybody doing? Okay, I hope you're all liking so far the series. With how to deal with let me put it right here. How to deal with the Aries man, the Leo man, and now we're going to talk now about the Sagittarian man. Okay. Um, yeah, we're gonna talk about the Sagittarian man part two because we want to roll it because I'm getting so many requests from many of you. Again, I'm very very glad that everything seems to be working out. you know. Okay. We talked about the fire of space, right? The first swirlings that created, the observable universe, and it creates the galaxies, constellations, and clusters of stars. Correct? Right. So now we are condensing that fire, which is the fire of Aries, the Big Bang, which is why Mr. Aries is so larger than life. And now you have a condensation of that fire, which now becomes fixed fire, right? The fiery globe of the sun, right? The sun doesn't move, it doesn't fall in space, it stays fixed in space, just like our Earth and everything else on the cosmos is fixed in their places because they are supported by a scaffolding called dark matter, right? For those of you who have a knowledge or two about cosmology. So fixed fire is still not obtainable. It's a dangerous place out there, the sun. We can go to any of the planets if we got the technology, but we will never be able to go to the sun. We can go to the moon, but we can never go to the sun. So that means that the sun is not obtainable to us. We can benefit from it, but we cannot really possess it, which is why a woman cannot rule a Leo man because you cannot possess the sun. It'll scorch you. It's the same psychology in the human behavior and psyche of the Leo man. Fixed fire. But then when you deal with Sagittarius, you're dealing with mutable fire. And this mutable fire is the fire that we can create on our own, like striking a match and now you got fire. Or turning the stove and now you got fire. Or it's fire that we can control. If the fire gets out of control here on this earth plane, we can take the water hose and nozzle and put it out. And we can also take car and lighter fluid and a match and also create fire. So that becomes mutable fire, manageable fire. We also have fire within our blood, within our veins. The earth itself has a molten core, and that's fiery, but it's not like the sun, or no plant or living species can survive on the planet. And it's not the fire of Aries. So this fire is the fire of Mars, and that is closest to us. And this is the principal energy behind the sign of Sagittarius. So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to continue with part two of how to understand Mr. Sagittarius. The one thing that I have mentioned before was that one word to describe each of the firemen. Today we finish with Mr. Sagittarius and we're going to move into the airmen, Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So what word can I come up with to define Mr. Sagittarius? Well, I said the horse. He's a Don Juan, psychologically. But physically, it will have to be the horse. He's on top of the horse. And just like when any man or woman is on a horse and the horse is galloping, there's no way that you can approach that person because you can get hit and kicked by the horse. Right? Unless you have a weapon, which is a sharp object or a gun to shoot the horse. It's the only way that you can get a Sagittarian man down from his high horse. And because he feels that he has that high horse, he's unreachable, unattainable It's a very arrogant psychology, but it's arrogant of self-belief that he is this great person who's always buoyant and optimistic and lucky. Well, he's distracted though. Now, he hangs out with characters as goofy and as off the wall as he is. He's giddy. He has a curious nature, an inquisitive nature, and a probing mind. He constantly is looking for external stimulation from his environment because he cannot stand still. The opposite sign of Mr. Sagittarius, remember, is Gemini. He will know everything of what's happening in his immediate environment. He doesn't care, though, much about family. Nor is he concerned or interested in being sentimental, either in relationships. It's not that he doesn't care. He's just too distracted. He's too distracted by the constant stimulation going on around him. Okay, he has a natural curiosity about the meaning of life and how to break its code of secrecy. See, this man understands that the opposite sign is Gemini. And when you have Gemini, opposite, this actually naturally means that he's going to be restless in nature. He's going to be restless, And one of the things that actually calms down, I have things falling down here. One thing that actually has him calm down, that actually calms his mind, is the discovery for himself and reaching a verdict himself concerning what he's experiencing and what he sees. Okay? So keeps moving. So he is interested. He's interested in the opinions of others, but only to serve as a backdrop of what he already knows. See, it's almost like he has a psychology that he feels that he needs to know better than what you know. Not in an arrogant way, like intellectual or academic superiority. And it kind of does sound that way, and I guess many people can kind of take it that way. But he's a walking, talking, breathing university. And what he doesn't know, which is very rare that he may not know or be aware of something as a body of knowledge, then he will assimilate it. And I have mentioned that before. Okay, so like I said, he's only interested in your opinion and the opinions of others if it already confirms what he already knows. But what he knows is not enough to reach a conclusion about the meaning of life. He's always questioning that. He wants to know your opinion, what you think, and also how you arrived at your opinions. So he's also interested in how you are thinking. He's interested in your process. It's not enough that he needs to know what you're thinking and where you got your information, but also how did you derive how did you reach the verdict to decide that this is a hey or nay, which will color your own philosophy and your own outlook in life. Because he likes to compare. Again, Gemini, the opposite of Sagittarius. So he's always in a constant quest to almost like find a topper to his philosophy, or if someone else's philosophy weighs better than his own. That's not gonna keep him too close to you. That's the type of man that will leave, because he's always in this kind of a quest. He needs to know how you think and how to see if you are worth listening to. That's the other thing. If he doesn't feel that what you have to say is relevant or significant, he'll stop listening to you. He will have nothing more to say or concerning you, opinionate about you. No, and he does this again quietly, silently. Won't even let you know unless you get on his nerves, and then he'll be real blunt with the truth. Like Aries and Leo, he's electric and psychologically, he has a lot of excitable energy. It's contagious. The energy of Sagittarius is extremely contagious. Okay, physically he is still on that horse, or even, and it's impossible to get a hold of him while he's on top of that horse. Now that's just a metaphor, but he could be on top of his horse in his mind. She's like, Harold, and and he ain't listening to you, or he may pretend that he is, but he's really not. He's tuning you out. They can do that, and you can feel and sense that there's somewhere else where they can feel comfortable and safe and stimulated, because if they don't get it from you or your environment, it's only a matter of time before he gets out. But he'll do this first psychologically. Ease. It's like he'll take the lamp with him. He'll move to another side of the room and take the lamp with him. And you're going to feel both his presence and the lamp of his knowledge gone from your proximity. Because, he cannot be in a place of stagnation. It's just, there's too much restless energy in his own countenance. He always has people around him. And if there is, if he's physically alone, if he finds himself physically alone, then he will be mentally alone as well. Or if he is in company, then he can also withdraw and be just as entertained with his own thoughts in a crowded room than he will be by himself in a lecture. Now, this man, like Mr. Gemini, also lives on his mind. But he's looking for a prism of his own image in those that he encounters. No, this man loves and enjoys perspective. He does. He is very logical and very intellectual. He knows a thing when he sees it, smells it, hear it. So people are often jealous of his wisdom and his insights. They're like, what? How did this guy get to know that? Why does he know that? He has a lot of enemies because of that, who will love nothing better than to crush and trample all over his plans. Just to do it. He knows, well, the thing is that he can be so spacey. So spacey, so idealistic. And yet, when he falls or he errors, there goes Lady Luck, Jupiter, to rescue him. He is so lucky. His luck is so divine that he inspires jealousy from people just on that alone. This man is divinely protected. Understand that. This man is divinely protected by the gods. Okay? And now, he could be clumsy, absent-minded, but innocent. He psychologically is unaware of how much he influences people and how he creates such a following, because he develops this in people. He develops this he has such a powerful need to get at the truth, to find himself, that he inspires that in other people. Other people start thinking like him. They may not express it to him openly. But then, and this is how Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, remember, Jupiter is the biggest planet on our solar system. The biggest planet on our solar system. So therefore, the psychology of the Sagittarian is that of expansion. This man is constantly expanding his horizons, his emotional horizons, his intellectual horizons, his mental horizons. Because, like I said, he wants to find himself in nature. He wants to see himself reflected in nature. So, in that way, he is able to understand who he is. Because, as above, so below, we know that this is a key, an occult key, a Hermetic philosophy. God is no different than us, and we are no different than God. And everything that is around us on this planet, on this solar system, on this universe is a mirror reflection of God. However, the Sagittarian can never and will never get at that truth at his current level of evolution. He'll have to reach Pisces, which you find God and go back to God. The 12th sign of the zodiac. Then it's over. Then the cycle begins again with Aries. And yet we got another great day. So the human evolution of consciousness to go back to God begins in Sagittarius. This man is all philosophy. And life for him is a quest. He'll have fun in the meantime and during the course of his quest, but he will never stop at his quest. Because that's why he's the symbol of the archer. The arrows travel straight. It doesn't curve. It has a goal. So are his words when he delivers a punch that's so blunt that he'll make you cry. His directness is as sharp as that arrow that he throws. Because that arrow cuts through all the bullshit and gets to the heart of the matter. And that truly is the psychological nature of the Sagittarian. And this is true of all 4 types and 12 subtypes. Okay? Okay. This man is not going to know how he transforms other people, how he influences other people, unless he's told. Unless he's told, he's not going to know. Like Mr. Leo and Mr. Aries, he represents youthful spirit, baby boy, the baby, the teenager, the gallant. The gallant. See, because he's so lucky is why he's so idealistic and optimistic. Now think about that. What makes you optimistic? If you go through stuff and somehow, see, it's 2 situations that you have to understand with Mr. Sagittarius. When he fails at something, errors and fails, he recovers very quickly. Very quickly. But if he doesn't fail and he gets into trouble that can either end his life or really put him in a jam so bad, Lady Luck will rescue him at the last minute and he'll be done from any danger or from any situation that may disgrace him. And this is where the luck of the Sagittarian is at its best. It's at its best because it is here that from being saved and rescued constantly, and you seeing other people not be as lucky as you, it kind of over time makes you develop a philosophy that you are being protected, that there's a divine light behind you, protecting you, guiding you, making sure that you're going to be all right. So then, most of us that may go through stuff may become traumatized by the experience. and becoming resentful, and then we could develop a sort of like negative perspective on life based on the hard knocks that has been given to us. See, Mr. Sagittarian will never become that bitter, will never experience that kind of sorrow and that kind of lamentation, that feeling of innate failure. He's never going to experience that because Lady Luck will never let him be destroyed either by himself or others. He'll be rescued at the last minute. And even in those instances when he does fail, he'll recover very quickly. Very quickly. So you see, so he's saved on the front end and on the back end. When he goes through these periods where he fails, it's because he needs to learn something from that. It's part of his amalgamated experience that he can then be able to impart upon to others based on practical experience. And this is why sometimes Mr. Sagittarius falls into trouble. The rare instances that he falls into trouble has to do with the fact that there's a cosmic lesson to be learned in which he can derive wisdom from the experience. So there are going to be times where he's going to fail. But understand that the failure will not be because of any karmic retribution. Because this man in his heart doesn't really have any malice. His only contempt is that if you're not honest with him and he's in a dishonest situation, that will rise within him in an anger and a dignity that will cause him to really wreck your life. And now we see another side of Mr. Sagittarius, the darker side. And of course, the one who is ignorant, who lacks in knowledge, can also be the dark type of Sagittarian that can want something for nothing and can be predatory. Then, in those types of instances, he's going to pay karma like everybody else. And Lady Luck will not be there to rescue him because he has breached natural law. And Sagittarius is the sign of natural law, is ruled by Jupiter, the king of the gods, Zeus. So if there is no ethical compass that the Sagittarian doesn't develop because he chooses not to develop it, that will destroy any possibility of him being the lucky and happy-go-lucky person that he was meant to be. Because now he's going against his own spirit. Okay? Again, because he's so lucky, he's so idealistic and optimistic. The Sagittarian is the lens of God. He sees right into your soul like Scorpio. Only Scorpio is searching for your darkness within you, while Mr. Sagittarius is searching for the God in you, independent of ego and personality. This is why he has so many friends. Okay? This is why he has so many friends and well-wishers. He sees the truth that all of us are but a piece of the puzzle, which defines God. To hate others is to hate God. No one knows that better than Mr. Sagittarius. He is tactless and thoughtless. This can crush anyone. Being given the truth as such a raw pill, like only Mr. Sag can do it, can make people like feel a certain way. They get their feelings hurt, and all that stuff. But in the end, even his enemies will be at peace with him, because deep down in his heart, he knows. Well, deep down in many people's hearts, including the enemies, deep down they know that this man really is a good soul. That his only contempt is when things breach natural law, whether it is in his own individual life or in the life of others. And this completes part two of how to understand Sagittarius.